to give you another week on memorizing the consonants and getting all of that down, and because this is the foundation. And then we're going to get into vowels. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the consonants and the vowels. And I know that some of you have looked at the vowels and you've seen 14 vowels and all these dots and slashes and what. Now, what on earth do we got to do here? I will break that down into 5 sounds. The A, E, I, O, U. All 14 of them fit into A, E, I, O, U. A, E, O, U. I'm just letting you know, it's not as complicated as it looks. It's going to be very simple. You're going to be able to relate it to what you're doing right now with the English language, okay? But right now, what I want you to do is I want you to begin to have exercises that you can do to be more familiar with the consonants and with their phonetic sounds. And what we've learned in any discovery, in any science, is that you always work from the known to the unknown. You don't just start in the unknown, wandering around going, I'm confused. Okay, the known here is the English language and what you're so familiar to you. So take what you know and learn what you don't know from what you know. And now you get to categorize it in your brain properly. It works better. Try it, okay? So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do my name. There's the M, the mim, okay? Mim has an M sound. Everybody got this, right? And then I'm going to also do the resh, okay? And then for K, I'm going to do the kof, okay? Is that correct? That is not correct. What's incorrect about it? It's correct. The kof is supposed to have a final form. It's just like when we start a sentence, you know, we start a sentence like, my mother was wonderful, okay? I started with a capital M, okay? It's a little bit different from the small m, isn't it? Especially when you do an A, right? It's very different from the capital A. So we have an initial form. In the Hebrew language, we have a final form. And so let me show you how to make this real easy on the kof. Wait, kof doesn't have a final form. That was all right. Kof doesn't have a final form. So there's nothing wrong with this. Okay? So let's go with another name. Anybody want to use their name? Huh? Caleb, okay. EB, right? Right? I don't want to misspell your name. Okay, so what we're going to do for now, because we don't have the vowels, we're going to get rid of the vowels, okay? Right? And we're just going to go ahead and write this backwards. C, L, B. Okay? So, what are we going to use for a C? Huh? Huh? Well, that's right. You actually have 2 choices. You could either use het, say het, and it's hard to say it H-E-T, het, because it's not the real guttural with the cough, which is when you have the dogish or don't have the dogish. When you have the dogish with the cough, it's just a ch sound. But when you don't have the dogish with the cough, it's more guttural, ch, okay? So you save that ch for the cough and don't use it for the het, okay? The het's more windy, het. And so you can almost go H-A-T, a het you, okay? Het. Because when you go up with the A, you get more breathing out of it. When you go to H-E, it's harder to breathe with it because it's real, huh? Het, it's a het, het, het. So you get 2 choices here. You can either use the het, okay, or you can use the cough with the dogish, okay? The cough with the dogish, the C with an I in it, kind of mellows the thing out a little bit, okay? Are you with me? Everybody with me? Okay? And both of them really have a CH, somewhat of a CH sound. And so that's the way we're going to go ahead and spell it. I haven't actually looked at how recently how it's spelled in the Hebrew Bible, but let's just go ahead and give it a shot, okay? So let's go ahead and use het. And then what's the next one? Lamed, okay? And then what's the next one? Bet with what? That's right. Anything wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with it, okay. I should have let the doggish out, said that there would have been something wrong with it. And so we could pronounce that how? Pretty much the same sound, but get a little bit more guttural. Chalab. Okay? Chalab. Okay? Chalab. Now, any of my Jewish friends that are watching me right now, and you want to correct me on that, that's fine. There's a little bit of difference between modern Hebrew, and I don't really know how they would have pointed that, but I bet I'm not too far off. I bet I'm getting some nods. So here's what I want to do tonight, is that I want to walk through the Aleph Beit, and then I want you to be able to take and spell out Aleph, A-L-E-P-H, and then I want you to write it in Hebrew. And I want you to ignore the vowels. And I gave you two different charts, right? So there's another chart that you have that's kind of a bigger block script that's in a grid. And there's the one thing that I didn't like, especially about that other one, is one thing. It wasn't using the final form at the end of the word. So with Aleph, you got to have the pay, right? And it was giving us the initial or the regular form and not the final form. And so I don't want you to learn it wrong. So just to make sure that you understand what I'm saying here, okay? So here it is, Aleph. You with me? Everybody with me? What are we going to do? We're going to first get rid of the vowel, because we're not doing vowels right now. So you're going to ignore the vowels. And you're going to discover, actually, let me just say this. Modern Hebrew doesn't use vowels. And you learn how to pronounce these consonants in the right manner because of everyday use. Up until about the 11th century, there were no vowels in Hebrew. Everything was just a block script consonants. And these are Aramaic in origin, this block script. It was just a block script or cursive without vowels, okay? Because Hebrew is a language that basically went into isolation and was, pretty much a dead language, and it was only used for religious purposes, everybody forgot how to speak Hebrew. And even by the time of Christ Jesus, speaking Hebrew was more towards the synagogue than for everyday practice. And the Greeks saw to that, and you're going to get a little bit more of that from me towards the end of Old Testament survey, what all went on there. I mean, because Alexander the Great, his kingdom was a great persecutor of Israel. It just that he simply wasn't the actual instrument of that persecution. It was the ones who followed him that were the instruments of that persecution. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to spell this backwards. A-L, okay, and the P-H. And so what are we going to do? Then we're going to have the Aleph, we're going to have the Lamed, and then we're going to have the Pei. Okay, let me just show you something about the Pei real quick before I do it. Once again, you've got the Kaf down, right? There's the regular form. Here's the final form, right? Okay. Now all you got to do for the Pei is do the same thing. Do the Kaf. Just hang somebody. Okay. Are you with me? And then do the Kaf again for the final form. Forgive me. For the final form, do the Kaf just like it is here, and just hang somebody there. Okay. And so then we just put it over here like this. Okay, let me show you real quickly, and hopefully it looks just like that, pretty much. Okay, let me show you something. If you were to take the old lined paper that we used in first and second grade to learn how to properly do our alphabet, are you with me? There's only one letter that will come above the dash. Only one letter, okay? Only one, and it's the Lamed. It's the only one that's going to be above it. Everything else will be below it, okay? So, and the only thing that is going to be below this line right here are your final forms. So if you've got a noon, it would be like this, okay? And you have a final form noon, it would be like that. Comes down below. See that? Same thing with all the rest of the final forms except for the mem. Because the mem's final form is up here, okay? Like this. Let me show you something about the mem and the samach. Okay, so if I did a mem, it's not perfect mem, but I'm making an example here. And I did a samach. How many of you had problems with that? Right? And I did a samach. They're very close. What you want to pay attention to is make a visual of the mem being a square and the samach being a 0. Okay? And you could just basically put your little tail on it, as it were. And so now what I want to do is I want to spend some time with this. This is going to help you. Give me that next slide. And then if we want, we'll come back to this here in a minute. No, not that one, the last one. The scary one. Okay. It would be great if we could make that bigger, because all that did was spread it out equally. There we go. Okay, so let's go through here and let's look at some challenges. Let's look at what challenges the resh. The resh. What's challenged by the resh? The dalet. Right? How many of you have that problem? What is that? What is that right there? What is that letter? What is that consonant? It's a dalet. Everybody say it's a dalet. Okay. What is that consonant? A resh. A little bit of a roar of the R's, a resh. And I know that you can have a lot of problems with those two. It's easy, it's really easy to mess that up. So let's find, okay, what is that? Huh? That's a mem. That's a final mem. Very good. It's a final mem. But it can really be challenging with a samach. Let's find the samach. Okay, there it is. There's a samach. See that? So really writing, that's why writing these out every day, 20, 30 times. Just go, it doesn't take you that long, 5, 10 minutes to write out every one of your letters, 20, 30 times. And then I want you to just be able to take something like this, and I don't want you to read it right now. I just want you to tell me what it is. Okay, ready? We'll start right here. What is this consonant? Vav, what is this consonant? Yod, what is this consonant? What is this consonant? Aleph. Does anybody have any problems with that? Okay, so I want you to just repeat after me. Can everybody see this board good? Are you ready? Okay, we're going to go. So you're going to say it with me right after me. Vav. Yod. Hey. Yod. Aleph. Vav. Resh. Vav. Yod. Resh. Aleph. Aleph. Lamed. Hey. Yod. Mim. Aleph. Tet. Hey. Hey. How are you doing? Okay, right? Hey. So we don't get too much in there, just hey. Okay? Aleph. Vav. Resh. Huh? Huh? It does look like a bait. I was baiting you. I was baiting you. And that's once again why you have to be real, why it's so important to write these and then look at the block script, because this is where we're going. This is what the Bible is written in. This is all we're interested in. We're not interested in cursive. We're not interested in all those other little scripts you can get on YouTube. We're not interested in them because you won't be able to really distinguish the kaf. This is the kaf. It looks too much like the bait, right? So the kaf with the dagesh is just kaf. Kha. It's like lach, right? Kaf. Kaf, but kaf. Yeah, just a good strong kha. Just a little kha. Kha. Without the dagesh, it goes kha. So it goes kha, kha, to kha. Just a little bit more clear your throat, okay? Okay? Yod. Tet. Vav. Veit. Very good. And it's really it's a little close. And so what I do is I exaggerate the thing when I write. I exaggerate it in my mind. I exaggerate when I write it. I write a cough like this, and then where it's got a lot. This is very rounded, okay, C-shaped, right? And then when I do a bait, I just really kind of block it out there. And you can do it like this, okay? Just for a moment, anybody, you can ask me, all of you, if you want, but what letter do you have the most challenge with in writing? Anyone? What letter do you have the most challenge writing? Huh? I know which letter you had the most challenge writing. Sade. Yeah, come to think of it. Sade. Sade, all you gotta do is draw a nose. Someone's nose. Are you with me? That's kind of like a Pinocchio, a cartoon nose, okay? See that? Cartoon nose? And then go and make it into like a Y. Sade. Here you go. Are you with me? The final form Sade is just almost like a backwards ion. Okay? It's like a, and you could just do a tall Y and you'd be okay. Any other letters you're having challenges with? Which one? Pay? Okay. So, once again, I said cough a few minutes ago, didn't I? I'm sorry. So here's your cough. Here's your pay. You ready? Hang someone. I said cough mistakenly. I'm sorry. See that? That's all you really got to do. And then you'll see it over here too. We should be able to find a pay here. Here's the pay. See it? It's like, see the cough? Get rid of the hangman right there. See? Very much like a cough, huh? So then the final form is basically the same as cough. The final form is very similar. Just to the final form of the cough, you just hang somebody there. See that? Does that make sense? Did that make it easy? Did that make it easy? Just think of just repeating the cough and just hang someone for now. Because then if you do that, you're going to recognize this. And, I know the right way to do these letters, but I'm not interested in teaching you the right way to do the letters. I'm interested in teaching you how to recognize the letters. I don't care how you write them. You write them with your left hand. You write them with your with the pen between your toes. Just recognize the letter. It doesn't have to go a certain different way according to the experts. Just the point is recognizing them and writing them. Okay. Any other letter you had a problem with, challenge with? Any other questions you have? Okay. No, all of this is a block form script. What I'm doing is I exaggerate the difference so you can recognize. So when I want to exaggerate the dalet like this, okay? I want to exaggerate it almost into a T so that you really see this part of it standing out, okay? Because when you look at it in block, you can hardly even notice it. And then all of a sudden, it looks like the resh, right? So what I do is I try to exaggerate it when I'm writing it so that you're able to see that little subtlety. Can you see that subtlety? See the resh right there? See the dalet? See how subtle the dalet is right there? Okay? That piece right there is so subtle. I'm exaggerating it so that you get it in your mind as to how to recognize the difference between the dalet and between the resh. Does that make sense? I believe that anybody who teaches the aleph bet consonants do the same thing. If you were a child and you're learning Hebrew for example, in Israel, they would show you how to do an aleph just like this. That's how you do the aleph. And it just kind of exaggerates, it makes it simple. And it shows you that the line here on the left-hand side has got to be higher than the line on the right-hand side. And it makes a pretty easy transition to your block script form. Make sense? Okay, any other questions? Yes?
What's the main difference between Vav and Resh? Is it just length on top?
The Vav, okay. Let me show you this, okay? These two are constantly confusing people, especially. Here's your Vav, okay? And here's your, what is that? Zion. Okay? Tough. What I do, if you look at Zion in the block form, you'll see that it's more beautiful. Okay, let's see if I find a Zion. It's more beautiful, but it is less subtle. I don't see a Zion. It's less subtle. I really want to bring out this, I want to bring out and exaggerate the difference. See that? Now I got a Zion. See that? Okay. But yours was the difference between the Vav and the Resh. The Resh really is an R form. And actually, this is where the Phoenicians got their, if we wrote prototype Hebrew, you would see the transition of prototype Hebrew over into actual Phoenician, and then from Phoenician to Greek. It's like when I do the Gimel, I like to do it like a man walking, but it's very close to the lambda, okay? When you look at the old prototype Hebrew, okay, see, old prototype Hebrew for Aleph. What I got to do is and then you've got your A, alpha to A, okay? But you don't need to look at the evolution of those letters. Another subtlety came to me just while I was doing that a few minutes ago, and it escapes me. What other letter are you having challenges with? While you're thinking about that, let me ask you this. Is everybody got it down what is meant between the regular form and the final form? I know that my wife had some challenges with that, and I spent quite a bit of time with her because it's like, what is this final form all about? Does everybody have that down? Okay, you only have 5 consonants that have a final form. Not every consonant. You have 22 consonants if you just break it down. Don't think about the difference between the seen and the sheen, okay? And that's why many times you'll see the alphabet written. Go back to the alphabet for just a minute. You'll see the alphabet written without a distinction between the seen, the seen and the sheen. Here it is in this particular one. Oh, no, it's not, okay? Here it is. There's no distinction here because we're going to count 22 consonants. If you bring in all of the variations, then there's more than that because we're not counting the vate up here, okay? We're not counting the forms that have a dogish, the dot in the middle of it that changes the sound, okay? So when you look at all of the letters that have a final form, and you guys can help me with it while I'm standing up here, okay? We got the first one, I believe, would be cough, right? Right? And so what happens is anytime it appears at the end of a word, you would never write any kind of word like this. You would never write it like this, where it ended with a cough. Okay? Regular form cough. You would only write the word, okay, where it would end with a final form. It's just the art of the language. Just like we have a capital letter that starts the sentence. That's our initial form. Okay? The difference in Hebrew is every time you come up against one of these 5 consonants that have a final form, it has to always be written that way when it ends, it appears at the end of a word. So let's just write them all off. Write them all out. There's a cough. There's the noon, right? Is next, right? Then the mem. Okay. All right. Yeah, I can spell. There's the mem. I do it like a G. It's very, very close when you see the mem. Okay. People always talking about my sloppy writing. Okay. There's the mem, okay? Kind of looks like a G, doesn't it? I promise you, if you imagine a mem like a G in block form, you'll recognize it every time, okay? So then there's the noon, has a final form. Next, pay has a final form, okay? And sade has a final form, okay? And how do we do the sade? Oh, I'm probably not writing these big enough for the camera. Let me do it again. Okay. There we go. Cough. Mem. You can just hear my wife talking to me. Noon. Okay. Pay. Cough with a hangman. And then we're going to do the sade. What are we going to do? We're going to draw someone's nose. Okay? Then eyes appear, right mouth. Okay, you with me? Okay? And then all we're going to do is just make it into like as it were a Y. Sade. Okay, so now down here we're going to do the final form. Final form is basic, right? Here we go. Final form. Okay? Final form. Make it square so that you can really recognize it different from the samech. Okay? Final form for noon. Just try to exaggerate it. It doesn't come out as long right here. See that? Let me emphasize that. Hopefully all these things work. See? Comes out long, comes out short. Okay? And that's not too difficult, is it? No. And then the final form for the pay. Is that a pay? Is that a pay? Is that a pay? No, it's not a pay. But for the time being, it's a pay. You got to put a dagish in it for it to truly be a pay. What is it without the dagish? Fay. There's your F. You need that F. We're going to go searching for letters over here, okay? You're going to be searching for letters because you've got to take something. Are you listening to me? You've got to take a sentence. I don't care what sentence it is. Paragraph, you get extra credit. And you've got to write that sentence, take a sentence or a paragraph in English, and you're going to convert that into Hebrew characters. Okay? Because you're going to get used to transliteration. I don't want you to do transliteration from the Hebrew character to the English character. I want you to do transliteration from the English character to the Hebrew character, because that way you know what all the English words mean, right? Makes it easy. Now, remember what we're going to do with the final form fe, right? Or pe, right? We're going to make it just like the cough, right? Everybody, say yes. Make me feel good. Yes. And then we're just going to hang somebody. Are you with me? There it is. Let's go find it. Oh, we're not over there. Do we have a final form fe over here? No final forms. Oh, yeah, we do. Here's the final form fe. Oh. See the final form? Cool. There's the final form fe. See that? See the person hanging there? Everybody looking at it? Can you see it? See the person hanging? They're hanging. Are you there? Can you see it? That's the final form fe. Everybody got it? Anybody got a question? Are you uncertain? I could be messing up. Okay. Okay. Any questions about this? Oh, I didn't do the sade. Sade. The final form sade. It's a reverse ayin. I know that helps you. Let me make it really simple. Draw a line that's a little bit to an angle. And make a really tall, skinny Y. That'll get you there. Did you see that? see if we can find a final form sade. No, sade at a final form. You're not going to see a lot as a final form. On the tet? The tet can be challenging. What I do is I emphasize this. Okay, that right there. I start with that line, make it almost like a samekh. Forgive me, make it almost like a zayin, and just come around with a little loop. Okay, so I'm always trying to relate an unknown to a known. Okay, are you with me? So let's just start with a tet, and let's make it like a zayin. Okay, remember the zayin, right? There's the vav. Right? It's not a good proportional vav. Here's the vav. Here's the zayin, right? See that? Let's just take the zayin and let's just do a loopity-loop. Tet. Got it? Did everybody see that? You want me to do it again? It's like magic, eh? Hieroglyphics. Somebody sent me an email. I can't get these hieroglyphics. Zayin is a real simple little one to remember. I want to make it into a tet. I just bring a little loopity-loop around. My little loopity-loop. Do you got it? Another question. Ayin and Aleph.
So if we're writing Caleb.
Ayin and Aleph. Now let me just give you both Ayin and Aleph is for all practical purposes recognized now as silent. Okay, and especially in biblical Hebrew, it always takes on the sound of its vowel. Always takes on the sound of its vowel. And you're going to learn a lot about vowels here in maybe even by next week. Just see how this goes for you, because I want everybody to really get the consonants, the sound of the consonants, being able to write them with and recognize them fluently, okay? And if we're there, then we can just start getting the vowels down. The vowels are easy, like I'm saying, 14 different characters that aren't really that difficult, because I'm going to make it where it's easy to identify. I'm going to have eyes looking at you, and the eyes are looking at you. It's got a particular sound, and it just makes it. There's a couple of ways. After I took my first Hebrew class in 1982, believe me, I've gone through some grueling exercises to get here. Okay, so at any rate, Aleph and Ayin are in Hebrew, the Hebrew language, biblical Hebrew language, take on the sound of their vowel. In modern day Hebrew, when you see an Aleph, it's ah. Sometimes, depending on what consonant follows it, an eh. But modern Hebrew, Israeli Hebrew, doesn't really use vowels. You could say that it uses a couple of vowels. It uses, you could say it uses a kibbutz, which you don't know yet, so you're not responsible for it. But at any rate, the vav becomes all of a sudden the vav, which can also be known as a wa. We're not going to get into that, okay? But it actually has an O sound, and you're going to learn it. But sometimes in modern Hebrew, it's not pointed with vowels, so sometimes it's a va, a V sound, sometimes it's a O sound, and sometimes it's an U sound. And you get used to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to make the U sound, and we're going to make the O sound very, very clear. Okay? We're going to make the O sound and the U sound very, very clear with the vav. Or when it's a V, because it won't have either one of these vowels. So once you get the consonants down, the harder part of the syllable is dealt with, because you always have at least a consonant and a vowel to create a syllable. And now you know how to, when you can identify syllables, and you know where the emphasis falls on the syllable, it's pretty easy to pronounce. And most all Hebrew words only have 3 consonants. So it's consonant, consonant, usually vowel, or it can be actually ended as what we call an open syllable without a vowel. And there's just a couple of little exceptions, but it's going to get, if you'll just get your consonants down. If you're not doing what I'm telling you to do, you will not get the results that I told you you would get. That's the way it is with God, and that's the way it is with me. I'm imitating him. I said that I'm going to make this real easy, that by the end of this first quarter, you're actually going to be able to read with 95% accuracy the Hebrew Bible, even though Genesis 1:1, even though you don't understand a single thing you're saying. If a person who knew Hebrew was listening to you, they go, wow, that is really good pronunciation. Do you know what you read? No. That doesn't matter. That's later. That's later. But if you don't do what I'm telling you, you won't be able to do it. You're just going to be, I remember my first Hebrew class with Dr. Frank Carver. A guy missed a week, and he came in like on the third week, and we're just going at it. And he said, I thought I was in the Introduction to Hebrew 101. No, buddy, you missed 2 weeks, man, because it was way beyond all that. So I'm not at a college academic pace. I don't want to be that way. Somebody says, well, you got to be that way to really get your credentials, to get, accredited. No, I want you to learn, because we'll catch up later. We'll outpace them later, okay? Just do what I say. Write out the letters 20 to 30 times every day. It won't take you that long. If you do not do this, you're going to be looking at me like, you're going to be saying, I thought you said this was going to be easy. I thought you said that we were going to have an unintimidated atmosphere for learning. Yes, so long as you do exactly what we tell you to do, okay? So one of the other things that you've got to do, and you say, where do I have time? Just less TV, okay? I'm just kidding. I know you guys don't watch TV, much TV. But at any rate, I want you to write out the Aleph Bet in Hebrew characters. I want you to, because it's going to, you can say Aleph Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Zamet, Ayin, Pei, Sadeh, Chof, Fresh, Sin, or Sheen here, Sin, Tav. Okay, well then write it out, what you're saying. You can write it out. How many hooked on phonics? Raise your hand. Hooked on phonics, pray for me. So just write it out in English and then write it out in Hebrew. And I want you to take any sentence whatsoever, okay? And once again, extra credit. If you do all the extra credits and I say yes, you're going to make more than 70%. People, my wife has a fear of failure. I promise you, she's like studying wet. She ordered like these crazy, beautiful, flashcards from Amazon. She's got posters and everything for the alphabet. I'm like looking at this stuff going, I want some of this. This is amazing stuff. And then she's up at 5 o'clock in the morning over there in her bed studying her flashcards. I'm saying, look, I got a trick for you. Look here. I downloaded 3 apps for alphabet just, inside of 10 minutes for her iPhone. And now she's like even more amazed. And then, the bottom line of it is you don't have to be that locked in to getting this down. But you have to write it. If you don't write it, there's no dialogue going on. The only sound you're hearing is the sound of your voice. And so that's got to replace the dialogue. If you don't hear the sound of your voice, then you're never going to get it. Please go back to the block script, the verse of scripture that I put up there. And I just want to make sure that you all understand that what you can do anywhere, online, wherever, as long as it's box script, you can go in here and you just walk through this. Vav, Yod, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yod, Mim, Aleph, Tet, Hey, Aleph, Vav. Well, it's not actually a Vav, but you don't know the vowels. Resh, okay? And then ultimately, when you got this sound down is a ka, right? And this sound is a ya, then you know what that is, almost, because you haven't learned that vowel yet, and it's like a diphthong. So you would pronounce that, if you just had to write this out as CHY, you would pronounce that as Kai, and it's key. Okay? It's Ha'or Kitov. And we're going to learn a song that has Kitov in it. So Kitov is going to become a phrase to you. It's good. Kitov, it's good. Tov. Tov meod. It's good. Say that. Say kitov. It's good. It's good. Kitov. Tov meod. It's like muy bueno. Kitov. I mean, tov meod is muy bueno. Muy bueno is very good, right? Okay. Tov meod. Very good. Say tov meod. You can actually spell that next week. If I said tov, you can spell it because you can write it just like it sounds. And especially after I give you the vowels, because we'll just take a bunch of English words like bat, mat, cat, sat, fat, and we'll just utilize those for our vowels. We'll write those out in Hebrew. So you're looking at it, I know what that is: bat, mat, fat, sat, cat. And then ultimately we then take it over one step from that, and now we got all of this going on. Are you with me? So please, I'm hoping I'm giving you a good advertisement here and encouraging you to do this. It's not that difficult. Any last questions here? Yes.
So for the consonants that have the dogish on it,
Remember, there's 5 letters that have a dogish that change the sound, okay? And there's 5 letters that have a final form. Don't forget that. That's your test. There's 70% right there, basically. You just won the day. Everybody just passed the course. 5 final forms, 5 dogish that change the sound. That's the most complicated part about the Hebrew consonants. Go ahead with your question on the dogish.
in the video you only gave 3 of them. So like the video from last week, you only went through 3 of the
Okay, but I did give you a handout that had all the final forms in it. I mean, it had all the dogish in it, didn't I? So let's go through them. Let's just make sure that I'm right, okay? So we've got, number 1, we've got bait that has it's bait only because it has the dogish in it, okay? Here's script form. Now, are you encouraged? Okay. Bait with the dogish in it, okay? It is what without the dogish? Go ahead, put the alphabet back up for me there, dear. Okay, just so that everybody can have that as. So you should be able to give me the other one. There's another one on there that I gave, another handout that I gave. No, and there's another one in there. There's another one. She's going to get to it before too long. No. No. Just start closing those out. That must have been that one you just closed out. Okay, the next one that has a dogish in it would be, I think that there's something. Is there something before kaf? Maybe there's not. Okay, so here's the dogish, huh? Kaf. The kaf has the dogish, and without the dogish. With the dogish, we basically say it's a ch. Okay, with this one, it's more of a sound. It's more of a sound than it is in any nomenclature that changes it. Does it give you a different sound in that chart that I handed out, the other chart that we never brought up? No, not that chart. Maybe I actually didn't give you the chart because it was too complicated. No, not that one. Okay, the next thing that has a dogish in it, it would be a, Pay. Fey, right? So the beged the kafets is what they are. The beged the kafet. And I'll go through that in a minute. So, yeah. And what are these sounds? P and fa. Okay. Now what's the next dogish? So both the dalet has it and so does the te, but it doesn't really change the sound. So there's only 3 that has the dagesh. If I'm not mistaken, there's only 3 that has the dagesh that changes the sound. It's the beit, the kaf, and the peh. There are others. The beged, the kafet, are all that have the dagesh. But on the dalet and the tav, those sounds have diminished. Some people still say ta and th, but we don't do that. Not in biblical Hebrew, we just use the ta, the tav. Instead of the tav and the thal. I think it's tav and thav is how you pronounce it. And I think, if there's any Ashkenazi speaking guys, it's thaw. It's Thaw. You probably see it written that way. But once again, it's just 3. You're right. It's only, I gave you 3 last week. Okay, there's 3 that changes the sound. There's a total of 5 that carry the dagesh. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit more complicated for you. Ready? Every other letter can get the dagesh, can get a dagesh too. And when you see a dagesh in any letter that is not these 5 letters, you double it. You double it. So if you came along and you saw yod, nun with a dagesh in it, because nun doesn't get the dagesh, and a hey, here's how you would write that. You would write it yod, nun, or pronounce it nun, nun, hey. Okay? So you're going to run into that here pretty quickly. I'm out of time. Time's up. Okay. Time's up. You can turn it off. So real quickly, any other questions? So while I'm here live, you got me. I'm happy to do it.